I love Tower of God. I don't know if you guys know that, but I kind of like Tower of God. But do you know what I like more than Tower of God? The characters in Tower of God. That doesn't make any sense, just cut this out. Tower of God has a ton of fan favorites, and I personally have a lot of characters that are near and dear to my heart, so I thought it'd be pretty fun if I compiled a list and showed you guys my top 10 favorites in all of Tower of God. I personally am a big side character lover. You can see that in my reactions. I love knowing the names of every single character because I love characters that aren't made for you to love. So a lot of these characters are a little bit more outside of the box. They're still major characters, but I don't necessarily have all the main characters in this list just because I personally really love side characters, but some main characters are also on this list. So keep in mind that if your favorite character isn't on this list, or if it's a main character and you're like, why aren't they on there? It doesn't mean I don't like them, it just means that I think of them in a different sort of way. When I make this top 10 video, I want it to be a bit more outside the box, if that makes sense. Number 10. HOTS. HOTS has been one of my favorites ever since season 1. He's been there since the beginning. Ever since he's first introduced, you know, okay, this guy's a badass. He uses a sword, which I just think is so cool because you learn early on that a sword is not really an ideal weapon in the tower, and the Shinsu density gets thicker and it's harder to use a sword, especially if you're not a member of the REA family. I love that HOTS just defies the odds and he's like, screw that, I love my family's swordsmanship skills and I'm gonna keep using a sword. HOTS' design is great, his weapons are cool, his fights are just amazing. I love it. Whenever he shows up, you know it's gonna be freaking awesome. Kun versus HOTS in particular is one of my favorite fights of the show, probably top 10 fights. And just HOTS showing how he can keep up with everybody else. He fought against a Nock in season 1. He fought against the two Lopobia, or one of the Lopobia princesses in season 2. And it just shows you that despite him not being a part of a huge family, and despite him using a weapon that really isn't ideal, he still just shows everybody up and he is his own person. I just love HOTS. He's just a badass and I can't wait to see him in the anime. Number 9, BORO. When talking about BORO's character, I'm always the first one to say that I'm really not a fan of how they treated BORO in the later parts of season 2. He went from being a badass to pure comic relief, and it's not the worst thing in the world. Like, I still loved BORO even as a comic relief character, but BORO during the Hell Train was easily one of the best parts about that arc. I love that you learn that he's a core member of the Hell Train story. He has connections to Sachi and Akka and Daniel, Rowan, even HOAQIN himself hates BORO because of that whole thing that happened in the Hell Train in the past. I just love BORO's character. He goes from being a disposable member of Bomb's team, like Bomb literally chooses him because Hwaryun said, you need disposable teammates, but then he goes from being disposable to being a core member of Bomb's group. His introduction is so epic, the way he takes out that ticket hunter, that fake ticket hunter, and his fighting style is so unique. He's able to more easily fight somebody who uses a weapon. And I just really like that. His fight against Danhwa, it's really epic, and I just love the mentor sort of nature that BORO has when he's first introduced. And you think he's sort of not important, and ultimately he's not, you know, but he still contributes a lot to that arc, and I just love BORO, man. I hope he comes back someday, even just for a little bit. I want to see more of his badass side and not just his goofy side. Number 8, EHWA. So if you're a fan of the channel, then this isn't a surprise to you. I always say that EHWA is best girl. I personally, if I'm going to ship Bomb with somebody, I'm probably an Endorsian Bomb shipper, but that does not stop EHWA from being best girl, and she's still second in my heart for Bomb. EHWA as a character, when she's first introduced, is sort of annoying. That's sort of the impression you're supposed to get off of her. She's very suspicious of Viol, and she kind of just argues a lot with everybody, and she's kind of always yelling, but then you realize there's so much to her character, and she goes from being this follower of the Yeon family and struggling with her fire powers, she goes from being that to trying to become her own person, and that's when she starts developing control of her fire powers, and oh my gosh, her fight against Angel during the Hell Train, probably the moment that I fanboyed the most when I was reading that. I wish you guys had seen my reaction, it was epic. Seeing her float in the air and all that fire surrounding her, it was one of my favorite moments of the show. And EHWA as a character has just really grown. She went, again, from being sort of not a useless member of Team Sweet and Sour, but sort of a reluctant member, to being a core member of not only Team Sweet and Sour, but also Bomb's team, and I just love that about her. She's a unique character that I still think has a lot of room to grow, and I hope we get to see more of that growth going into the future chapters of Tower of God. Number 7, Kun Ron. You guys thought I was gonna say Kun, didn't you? Ha! We'll see if he's on this list. We'll see. Ron is one of the only coons that you can actually count on. I love that about him. He's this little coon. When you first meet him, you're like, oh my gosh, this little guy. But then you realize he's kind of way too strong for his own good. And you find out that he has this unique power and this unique fighting style. He uses lightning pills. Like, that's so epic. And you find out that, like, he has this connection to Mashini, and Mashini trained him, but, like, he also wants to kill her, I think. There's a lot going on with Ron, and I wish we could see more of that, and I think we will as the show goes on. I think he'll come back, hopefully soon. And I just love Ron. Ron is just so cool, and he has two of the greatest fights in the entire show. Two of the hypest moments, in my opinion. One of them is Anak versus Ron during the workshop battle, which honestly I think is one of the best moments of the workshop battle. It's such an epic fight where you think that one person's winning, then the other person starts winning, and then the other person starts winning. It's the first time he takes a lightning pill, and it's kind of the hypest moment ever. And also he fights against Iniesta, and Ron versus Iniesta is my all-time favorite fight in Tower of God, so how could Ron not be on this list? I love Ron so much. His relationship with Kun, his relationship with Nobuk even, everything about Ron is great. I just wish we saw more of him and he developed a bit more. I have faith in SIU that we'll see more of him soon, and I'm banking on that. Let's hope that Ron comes back soon, please. Number 6. KALLAVAN. Oh my gosh, don't even get me started on KALLAVAN. I have a feeling that as the show continues, KALLAVAN is going to be one of like my top 3 favorite characters. But even now, we saw him at the end of season 2 and thus far in season 3, and he's already such an amazing character. I think my favorite thing about KALLAVAN is the fact that he's a villain, but he's not a villain. He has this moral code that he goes by, and he's really not evil. Like, he doesn't do the things he does for a bad reason, he does it for a good reason. He's kind of ruthless in a way, but he's not cruel, and he does bad things, but he doesn't think of them as bad. And I just love everything about KALLAVAN. He has this goal, and he thinks that achieving that goal is for the greater good. So the things he does, while bad, are, in his eyes, good in the long run. And I love that. It's the perfect way to handle a villain. And it's to the point where I don't think of KALLAVAN as a villain, even though he's on the villain's side. KALLAVAN versus Jin Sung. I mean, can we talk about that fight? That fight is epic. And the relationship between Bomb and KALLAVAN. KALLAVAN went from being just this new ranker villain to being the one guy that Bomb wants to take down. Or not the one guy, but like the new big bad that Bomb is working towards taking down because of everything that he's done. I don't know, KALLAVAN is just kind of amazing. I love KALLAVAN. Number 5, SHIBISU. I mean, do I even need to say anything? SHIBISU is kind of just the best ever since season 1. Well, okay, here's the thing. So in season 1, SHIBISU was almost pure comic relief. Like, the main comic relief of season 1 was shared between SHIBISU and Rack. We got to see a lot of Shibisu's intellect, which I liked a lot, and he had a lot of emotional moments, which I liked. His relationship with Serena, his relationship with Bomb, and him and Hatsun Anak, it's great. But when I think Shibisu really shines is season 2, and even though we don't see a ton of him or as much as we did in season 1, he goes from being comic relief and smart, like really smart, to being, yes, still a funny guy, but being the leader of Shibisu's team, as we know it. The leader of Endorsi, Anak, Hats, Laro, Amigo-chars, Vespi, Verdi, all these people, he's their leader. Like, even though they make fun of him, he's their leader. Like, he's leading them up the tower. That's kind of awesome. We know he's not a fighter, but he's shown us his intellectual ability from like countless times. Kun's intellect is something more akin to like a sly and sneaky intellect, and he's not afraid to like pull these tricks and stuff, but Shibisu is just smart. And I feel like in a lot of ways, he outsmarts Kun in different ways, and we see that during the Name Hunt station, when we see that Shibisu and his team, they could have stopped Kun and Bomb and like won their little feud. They could have done it, but Shibisu lets them pass. That moment, honestly, is just the best. That's when you know that Shibisu is a G. Like, I just love everything about Shibisu, and he's really grown as a character, and I can't wait to see more of him in season 3. By the way, guys, Kaiser is not on this list. I'm sorry, I know she's a fan favorite. I want to see more of her, and I know that she can be in the top 10, but she's not on the list. I just don't want to break your guys' hearts, so I'm doing it now. Number 4, Yama. Yama is the only character on this list that was introduced in Season 3, and yet is one of just the all-time best Tower of God characters in my opinion. What I love about Yama, or one of the things that I love about Yama, because there's a lot to love about Yama, is the fact that his name is mentioned a lot throughout the series, and yet you don't meet him until Season 3, where he becomes a central character, or at least for now he's a central character. He's now fully supporting Bomb, and it's epic, it's awesome, I can't wait for the whole Nest thing to happen. But I think the best part about Yama is his dynamic, or the whole dynamic between him, his brothers, and the Canine people. If you've seen my reactions, you know that I just love this part of Season 3, but the fact that Yama is such a lone wolf, but ends up sort of being forced to lead the Canine people, it's amazing, and the Canine people end up loving him so much. He thinks he's not really meant for this, and he just wants to be on his own, but then he realizes how much they mean to him, and how much he means to them. And then that leads up to the Canine people being slaughtered, and Yama just breaking down completely. I mean, that whole dynamic has to be like one of my top favorite things about Tower of God as a whole. It's just amazing. Not to mention Yama's design and his transformation. I mean, come on, like everything about Yama is amazing, and I really hope we get to continually see him even after this whole Canine people and Lopobia thing goes down. All right, we're in the top 3, let's do it. Number 3. Kun Aguero Agnes. I know I said I'm not really going to be including too many main characters just because of the way I handle things in my head, and my favorite characters always end up being side characters. But Kun, I mean, come on. How can you not just absolutely love Kun? Since Season 1, I feel like I've said that a million times this video, since Season 1, but it's true for all the cases. Since Season 1, Kun is just the intellectual mastermind. When you know that Kun's developing a plan, you know you better watch out, and you know you're gonna be mind blown, because I just love it. The writing for Kun is amazing, and I love that he is so strong. You get to see his strength in the crown game, and when that assassin tries to kill him, he's ruthless, and he could fight you to death, you know, but he chooses to be this military strategist and this mastermind. He loves tricking you. He loves being sly and sneaky. It's just amazing. Kun as a character has been A+ since the beginning, and there's not a lot of characters that you can say that about, who's been A+ from beginning to end. I think the best part about Kun is the fact that he's so ruthless down to his core, like he surely is, but he ends up having a soft heart because of Bomb, and his relationship with Bomb, oh my gosh, don't even get me started. It's so touching. When Kun loses Bomb at the end of Season 1 and he's with his team, his personal team in Season 2, him talking about Bomb being his best friend, that whole dynamic, and then including Rack into that too, it's just perfect. I mean, come on, it's amazing. Kun as a character, one of my all-time favorites. I think he's probably the best character of Tower of God, even if he's my 3rd favorite. And yeah, everything about Kun is just spot on. And you know that you're gonna have so many more moments with Kun in the future, which is another reason why I love him. You just know that Kun is like the perfect character. I just love Kun. Number 2, HOAQIN/White. So if you watched our tier list video, you know that Joe and I had this big debate about whether or not White really counted as the same character as HOAQIN. Joe didn't really think so, I kind of thought so. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to count them as mostly the same person. I know that White is different than HOAQIN, but we do know that White is sort of dominantly HOAQIN. So, you know, it's kind of confusing, but that's what I'm doing for now. The Hell Train is my favorite arc in Tower of God. How could you not love the Hell Train? Everything about it is amazing. The fights, the character designs, the new characters, the dynamics, the backstory, the plot. And HOAQIN is at the center of it. He's not afraid to kill your favorite characters. Yeah, spoilers, looking at you, members of Team Sweet and Sour. Rest in peace, I'll always miss you. He's basically the perfect counter to Bomb. He really truly, to me, feels like the true antagonist of Tower of God when Bomb was like regular level. He was sort of like the final hurdle for Bomb. Well, I mean, there's the final like true villain that Bomb had to take down as like a regular, and now Bomb's going into ranker level and stuff. He truly felt like the perfect climactic Tower of God villain for Bomb, and that made that fight amazing, it made that arc amazing, and it's just so cool. And then now that he's White, he's still ruthless and cruel, and he loves eating people's souls, but he's now like on your side. It's sort of like the whole Frieza situation. I just love it. I think that White and HOAQIN are the perfect Tower of God villains. Favorite villain, favorite arc. You know, they made that arc as good as it was, or HOAQIN did. And it's just so cool. He's a really awesome way to introduce the REA family. I could go on and on about HOAQIN and White, but also here's my one point I'm gonna make. SIU could have left White or HOAQIN behind once the Hell Train arc was over, sort of like what he did with Daniel and Aka, which I thought was great, but he didn't. He kept White on board as this major character, and I'm really glad he did that, because while White was so much of a big deal, he also kind of seemed like he could have been left behind, like they could have defeated him and moved on. But I love that he's such a huge deal. He's so powerful and impactful that he stuck around so long. It's just cool. I like White a lot, if you can't tell. Favorite villain, second favorite character of the show. If you guys are true fans of the channel, if you've seen my reactions and my videos on discussions and stuff, and my tier list video, then you know who is number one in my heart forever. This is probably never gonna change. Number one favorite character in Tower of God, WANGNAN Ja. Oh my gosh, WANGNAN, the true protagonist of Season 2. I think the most ballsy thing that SIU did was switching protagonists, because everybody loved Bomb as the main character, and suddenly when he's no longer the main character, and WANGNAN is the main character, it's like, it's natural to miss Bomb and therefore start hating on WANGNAN. If you go back and look at like the webtoon comments on Season 2 Episode 1, you can see that. People are like, who's this? Who are these people? I want the other characters. I want Bomb back, you know? We're all focusing on him. But then you realize that this guy isn't just a wimp. He's not just a pathetic person like he seems to be at the beginning. He's a person. He represents what it means to live in the tower and to climb the tower. He represents all these people who couldn't climb. The only reason he was able to continue on in the story is because of his friends. And yet, that's when he starts developing and becoming his own person and becoming a member of the team. It's amazing. Team Sweet and Sour, easily my favorite parts of Tower of God, my favorite team in Tower of God. I should say some of my favorite moments. And WANGNAN is a big reason that they are so. I think what I love about WANGNAN is, despite the hardships, despite the cruelty, and despite the terrible things that happen to him, he literally gets stabbed like a bunch of times in the show. Well, he gets like stabbed in the arm by White, or HOAQIN. He gets stabbed in the heart by Beta, right? We can't forget about that. I mean, so many things happen to WANGNAN, and I think the biggest, it's not the heart-piercing thing, it's not the blade stabbing thing that's the biggest deal, it's the fact that he loses so many of his friends, starting with Nia Nia in Season 2, and then of course Prince and Arcraptor in Season 2. It breaks him, you know, and he starts becoming a different person, and you can see that when he accepts the sword. And I want to see WANGNAN's return, and I want the story to focus more on WANGNAN so bad, because he truly was the main character for a while. I could go on and on about why I love WANGNAN, but I think SIU made a fantastic decision introducing him as a character, and not to mention, that's not even mentioning his connection to Jihad, and like his ring and everything, and his ambition. He wants to be like the king of the tower. And yet he's just an ordinary dude who inspires people around him without even realizing it. He becomes the leader, man. Oh my gosh. I love WANGNAN. I love Tower of God. I love all the characters. I mean, honorable mentions, I made a little bit of an honorable mention list. We've got like Bomb and Rack. I didn't include them on the list just because they're really obvious. Everybody loves Bomb. I've seen some people say that he's not perfect. Everybody loves Rack. I love Rack. I think he's a fantastic character. And Han Sung-yu and Jin Song were characters that I was considering putting on a list. And honestly, if this was a different day, if I was filming this on a different day, all four of those characters would be on this list. I also love Dan. I know he's such a side character, but he has probably one of my favorite scenes. If I had to pick my favorite scene of the show, it would probably be when Dan turns down Rachel's offer. I think that's probably my favorite scene in the show. So there's so many characters, guys. I don't know, who are your favorite characters? Do you have a top 10 list in your head, or top 5 maybe? You can put them in the comments down below. And if you like the video, you can hit like and subscribe to the channel for more Tower of God content. Who knows, maybe in a year or two, my mind will be changed. I could also do like a Season 1, I don't know, character list when the anime comes out. Maybe my favorite characters in Season 1 of the anime. I don't know, we'll see. But thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'll see you guys next video.